In the ancient sands of Canaan, a profound promise was etched into history. Genesis 15:18 recounts a pivotal moment: God's divine covenant with Abraham, the patriarch who would become the father of the Jewish people and the spiritual father of the church. "To your descendants," God said, "I give this land from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates." This vast territory, stretching across fertile landscapes, was destined to belong to Israel. Yet the land's full promise was only briefly realized during the reigns of King David and his son, Solomon. Amid this sweeping promise lay a singular and sacred site, the Temple Mount, known then as Mount Moriah. The story of this pivotal location begins with King David's fateful decision. In 2 Samuel 24, David, driven by a sense of pride and self-reliance, orders a census of Israel and Judah. Despite objections from his commander Joab, the count takes nearly 10 months to complete. Soon after, David's conscience is plagued by the realization of his error, his reliance on numbers rather than trust in God. As punishment, the prophet Gad offers David 3 choices: 3 years of famine, 3 months of fleeing from enemies, or 3 days of plague. David chooses the plague, which claims 70,000 lives. Overcome with grief and desperation, David pleads with God to spare the people and accept the punishment himself. Gad then directs David to buy the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite, today's Temple Mount, and build an altar. This is the very site where Abraham had nearly sacrificed his son Isaac. David complies by purchasing the site for 600 shekels of gold, building an altar and offering sacrifices unto God. Moved by David's act of repentance, God halts the plague, demonstrating divine mercy. The Temple Mount, purchased by David, becomes the focal point for the future temple. Although David yearned to build this holy structure, he was a warrior, and God desired a place of peace. Thus, the task fell to David's son, Solomon. In 1 Kings 6, we read that Solomon's temple took 7 years to complete. At its grand dedication, Solomon prayed for Israel's restoration in times of sin and distress. As if in response, supernatural fire descended from heaven, consuming the sacrifices and filling the temple with divine glory so intense that the priests could not enter. Yet despite this divine favor, Israel faltered. The northern kingdom fell to the Assyrians around 722 BC, with many Israelites exiled and replaced by foreign settlers. The Assyrians' advance threatened the southern kingdom of Judah, prompting King Hezekiah to seek divine intervention. The prophet Isaiah assured Hezekiah of God's protection, and that very night, an angel struck down 185,000 Assyrian troops. The retreat of the Assyrians marked a dramatic turn in the conflict, though Sennacherib, their king, met a grisly end. Babylon, rising in power, eventually besieged Jerusalem in 604 BC. Through the prophet Jeremiah, God instructed the exiles to settle in Babylon and seek its prosperity, for their own would follow. Among the first exiles were Daniel and the 3 Hebrew youths. Daniel's unwavering faith and divine favor earned him high positions in the Babylonian and later the Medo-Persian governments. His survival in the lion's den impressed King Cyrus, who, after learning from Daniel about Isaiah's prophecy, decreed the return of the Jews and the rebuilding of the temple. Led by Zerubbabel, the exiles began the reconstruction of the temple in Jerusalem. Despite challenges, they were encouraged by the prophet Zechariah, who declared, "Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord," signifying the divine assurance behind their efforts. The Second Temple, completed in 516 BC, was later magnificently renovated by King Herod, appointed by Rome. The temple stood as a beacon until the arrival of Jesus Christ, the fulfillment of God's promise to Abraham. Despite the miraculous life and teachings of Jesus, the Messiah was rejected by many in Israel, as described in John chapter 1, verses 10 and 11. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. The culmination of this narrative came in 70 AD with the destruction of Jerusalem and the beginning of a 1,878-year exile for the Jewish people. The saga of covenant and redemption, from Abraham's promise to the eventual rebirth of Israel in 1948, is a testament to a divine narrative that spans millennia, woven with threads of faith, promise, and historical transformation.